Hi friends of life, I'm glad that you joined us today. My name is Johanna Dureraj from Life for All. I want to walk you through the fetal development section of our life seminars, our moral awareness seminars, which address very different, very important subjects for the Indian society of today. I'd like to start with female reproductive anatomy and then go over into the development of the growing child. Let's dive right into the reproductive organs. Now, the reproductive organs of the women are much more complex than those of the men. The one thing that I think every one of us would know is the womb, or it's called the uterus. It's about the size of a chicken egg if you're not pregnant, and it can expand greatly into a big balloon if there's a baby inside. It's located in the lower pelvic region of the woman. It looks a little bit like an upside down pear. And it's actually a muscular organ, which means it's very strong, and during a contraction it's actually pressing down with a weight of about 50 kilograms. So it's actually considered the strongest muscle in the human body. So forget your brother's biceps, you can just tell him, brother, now, I don't know, Baya, I have the strongest muscle in the human body. At the bottom of the uterus we have what is called the cervix, and the cervix is actually the closing of the uterus. So when we have the baby inside, this cervix needs to be tightly closed to keep that baby safe inside, and that's what needs to open during delivery and causes a lot of pain so that baby can actually come out. Another thing which is part of the reproductive organs are the ovaries. They are located on both sides of the uterus, and they're about the size of an almond, or if you're a Tamilian then you'll know a navalpalam. What is, I think, really interesting there is that when a little baby girl is born, she's born with all the eggs that she'll ever need for her lifetime. About 200,000 eggs that she will need. Even actually, in fact, already when she's in the womb, everything is there. With the boys, it's totally different. Men reproduce sperm all the time, whereas we women, we have all the eggs there and they just need to mature. We'll actually only need about 400 to 500 during our lifetime. Another thing that we have are the fallopian tubes, which sort of go out from the uterus. And they're very fine little canals, little tubes through which the ovum, or the egg, travels. This is actually here in this fallopian tube where conception takes place. So this is sort of just a very basic outline of the female reproductive organs. Now we're going to start and look into what if new life comes? What if the woman gets pregnant? When does life actually begin? Because this is very important for us to know. If I had asked somebody on the street, hey, when did your life begin? Most people will tell me their birthday. If it's on the birthday that their life began, then before that we could basically do anything with them what we want, including abortion, right? If it's not a life. But if we are talking about a human life that has intrinsic value, then we need to defend and we need to protect that. So let's look at that. The beginning of life, we need two cells. We need one cell from the mother and we need one cell from the father. The cell from the mother is the ovum, what we learned earlier, or the egg cell, and from the father it's called the sperm cell. Ironically, the sperm cell here, the one from the father, is the smallest cell in the human body. It's tiny. You need a strong electron microscope to even see it. Whereas if you have the mother's egg cell, it's the largest cell in the human body. So girls, we have the strongest muscle, remember, the uterus, and we have the largest cell in the body as well. The ovum is 90,000 times larger than the sperm cell. So then we have this moment of conception. At this moment, there's about 20 crow sperm cells that are swimming up through the uterus, trying to find that one cell, that one egg cell that is waiting for them. Now, medicine has no answer as to how the sperm know where to swim. How do they know which direction to go? Some say, well, they have some olfactory cells in there, some cells that can maybe smell, and others just say, hey, we have really no idea. We really don't know. The fact is, these sperm cells, they're running the race. There's only one winner in this game. And the first sperm cell to actually reach the ovum, it will try and penetrate the outer core and shed its little tail. And then the cell will be locked. No other sperm cell can come inside, and then something really beautiful happens. These two cells join their genetic information. They become one cell, and a new, unique new life begins. At this moment, when the father's and the mother's genetic information is joined together, a new, unique DNA is written. A new person comes into existence on this planet person that has never been like that, never been here before like that, never will come again. At that time of conception, or fertilization as we call it, the skin color is decided. It's decided whether it's a boy or a girl. So after you've become pregnant, please don't say, oh, I hope, start praying to God that it's going to be a girl or a boy. It's already decided at the moment of conception. The size of that child, how tall he will grow, and whether it'll be curled, straight hair, and the sound of the voice. Every single minute detail has already been determined at the moment of conception. And let me just say this regarding the skin color, because I find that in India very often people think that somebody of a lighter skin color is of more beauty or is of more importance than somebody of a darker. I would very strongly disagree with that, because coming from a country where everybody wants to be dark, it's very funny for me to see a country where people spend lots of money for Mr. Fair and Lovely to get a light skin color. We spend lakhs of money to fly to the beach and go and get dark, and we have creams and you have creams. Let's be thankful for what we have, because at the end of the day, at the moment of conception, it's already decided. We cannot change our skin color. I know that some women in India, they like to eat kungumapur, saffron during pregnancy, to make their baby's skin color lighter. It doesn't work. The moment of conception, a unique new person is there. And then the journey begins. Within 24 hours after conception, this little child sends a message to the mother saying, Mummy, I'm here. How can that be? How can a one-day-old baby send a message to the mother that totally changes her body? How can that be? What it does, it sends a hormonal message. A HCG hormone is sent into the bloodstream of the mother. This is the HCG that we do the pregnancy test with as well. If you're doing sometimes you can test through blood or through urine. You can test whether you're pregnant by detecting this HCG, which the baby in fact has sent out. Now you might say, this is crazy. What are you talking to me about? There's this tiny little cell, and it can already change, send a message that changes the mother's body. How can that be? We can't see now. From this little baby, we can't see from the outside how amazing this baby is. If I look at you and I see how complex you are now and today, I can see how amazing you are made. But with this little baby, it's only one cell. How can we see? What's there? What's special about it? To understand how special and how amazing and unique and complex a little baby at this stage is, when it's only one cell old, you need to come with me on a journey, and we need to dive inside the cell and see what is happening inside. So it's going to be a little bit medical now. Please bear with me for 2 minutes, okay? Each human cell has 23 pairs of chromosomes on it. These little strings carry about 1 lakh genes on them. And these little genes consist of DNA. Basically, if you want to say it in a very simple way, if you're talking to school students, the DNA is basically like the alphabet, a molecular alphabet that describes this person. So the DNA will say, this is a girl. She will be 5'3". Her nose will be this long. She'll have this many hairs on her head. And all these things the DNA will exactly describe. Now let's go and see how much DNA information is inside our little baby when it's just 1 cell old. If I want to write this DNA, I would have, and write the information that is in just this 1 cell, I would need to write 15,25,000 pages of information. That is equal to 137 crore, 36,25,000 words. That is a huge number. I can't get that into my head. Maybe you're very gifted, but I can't do that. Let's say that in a different way. Let's say if I write it in 1 line, if I start writing here, wherever I'm standing, and I'll just start writing this information on a piece of paper. This line of saying, it's a little girl and she'll be this tall and her skin color will be this, and this is the number of hairs she'll have on her lower arm, and all of that information, everything, the sound of her voice. This line would stretch for over 14,500 miles. That's more than halfway around the globe. That's a lot of information there. If I want to read this information just inside that 1 cell, and I make it my full-time job, 9 to 5, it'll take me 37 years to read this information. So what I'm trying to say, this little baby, even if it's just 1 cell old, It is so complex. We're not talking about simple structures. We are talking about a very, very complex being that is being formed there. And so sending out a hormonal message, a HCG message into the bloodstream of the mother is probably not the most difficult thing for this very, very complex being to do. And as a result, this HCG triggers the production of progesterone in the mother's body. And that again makes her prepare her body, changes lots of things, can maybe even change her mood and makes her feel sick. And it changes lots of things in the mother's body for her body to nourish and care for a little child inside the womb for 9 months. One baby, one cell, and what happens with one cell? It divides into 2 cells. And these 2 cells, they become 4 cells, and 4 become 8, and so on. And baby starts growing. What it actually does on the 7th day, let me show you on this picture, it actually reaches the uterus. So remember what I said at the beginning? Conception takes place in the fallopian tube. It starts dividing and it starts traveling around here. And on day 7, it reaches the uterus. It finds a nice soft spot there and it connects to the nourishing blood vessels of the mother there and makes its home there. At this stage, we call this baby an embryo. Before that, it was a blastocyst. At fertilization, it was called a zygote. After 3 months, it's called a fetus. See, these are, when the baby is born, it's called a newborn, then an infant, then a toddler, then a child, then a youth, then an adult, then a senior. These are just names to describe ages. But whether we're talking embryo or fetus, we're always talking about a human being. We really need to remember that. These are just titles to give us an age. So we have the baby now connected to the blood vessels in the womb. And then really, this miracle is taking place. This is taking shape after 2 weeks after conception only. This is a time where mother has no idea she's pregnant. She hasn't even skipped her period yet. And already the baby's brain is starting to develop. It's the most complex organ that we have, so it needs a head start. So that's what it does. 3 weeks after conception, this might be the time where the mother thinks, my period must be late. At that time, the baby's heart already starts to beat. And I think this is such a beautiful thing when we think about the size of the little baby's heart. The baby is about, at this time, the size of a little rice corn. Okay? And at that time, it has a heart which would be the size of a poppy seed. Now, in Tamil, we call it a kasa vidu. I have no idea what you call it in Hindi. Look it up. It's a poppy seed and it's tiny. Take one at home, put it in your hand and think, wow, that's the size of my baby's heart when it starts making its first little irregular beats. So let me show you a picture of a little 1-month-old baby. So here we have a little rice corn sized baby. And this little black spot in the middle, that's the little heart which is starting to beat regularly now. We have the arms and the legs that are budding. We have the eyes and the brain and the mouth and the ears. Everything is already starting to show. We have a beautiful little human being. Some people say, oh, see, look here, the spinal cord is longer. That's because we developed from the fish and No, that's actually not the case. The spine just grows a little bit faster and the rest of the body will come and catch up with the baby a little bit later. Okay, then let's go into the next month. So the 2nd month is the high speed growth month. Baby grows very, very fast in the 2nd month. And what is beautiful about this month is that at the end of this month, at 7 weeks of age, she has every single organ that she will ever need for her life. She's perfect. She needs to grow, she needs to mature, the bones need to harden, everything is still soft. But everything that he or she will need for his or her future life, it's already there. You can see a tiny little picture of a 7-week-old little baby here. Tiny little one. Everything that he or she needs is already present. You can see here's a picture of the little hands that are already there and the little feet that are already there. Everything is there. The eyes are there and they already have the little tear canals inside. And what I find so beautiful is this next picture, which I want to show you. It's a picture of a 2-month-old baby, and we like to call this our cashew nut baby, because this baby is a 7-week-old baby, and it's about the size of a cashew nut. Doesn't it just look like a perfect little baby? Inside the gums of this little baby are all the 20 milk teeth that she'll only need much later. When babies are born, there's no teeth. Only maybe after 6, 7, 8 months, the first tooth will come and baby will be crying at night. But already at this stage, when baby's only this small, The milk teeth are already all inside the gum. In this time, the skull is producing 250,000 nerve cells per minute. Talk about high speed growth, you know. And the arms have grown long enough, it scratches its little face, and it has its own little set of fingerprints, unique to her or to him. The third month, let's go into the next month. The third month, wow, baby is super active. I mean, he's jumping and swimming. They like to do this backward stroke, and they like to use the womb as a trampoline and just jump up and down, always moving. In fact, they don't sleep during this month. They have no sleep, maybe for 5 minutes. They'll take some rest, and then they'll be up again and jumping again. But mother won't feel anything of this yet, because baby actually at this time, baby's about the size of this little one here. So mother won't feel it yet, but boy, is that little baby having a party. And practicing things. Practicing things is very important. Practicing things that she'll need outside of the womb. Something like breathing. Once she comes out, she'll need to get that air into her lungs. Before, now everything is coming through the umbilical cord, all the oxygen that she needs. But afterwards, she needs to take that first breath. So all the muscles that are related to the respiratory system, to the breathing system, she's practicing that now. And so one of the main muscles we have there is the diaphragm. And so she's sucking into her lungs the amniotic fluid, the water that she's swimming in. She's sucking it in and pressing it out. But because everything is still so new, she's getting very confused, and a lot of hiccups coming all the time, up to 100 hiccups per minute, just because she's trying to coordinate, but she's practicing hard. Another thing that she's practicing, or he's practicing, is sucking. Of course, they'll need to have milk when they come out, so very important to suck. So very often during ultrasounds, when you have the ultrasounds of these little 3-month-old babies, you can see them on the ultrasound sucking their thumb. And what I think is really, really sweet is that even at this age already, they have a preference for right or for left. So if you're a left-handed person, probably at this time you were sucking your left thumb. Whereas I'm a right-handed person, I was probably sucking my right thumb. Another thing that they practice is swallowing. They need to be able to drink. So in the womb, they drink a lot of the amniotic fluid, and it goes into the blood, and then it's passed out through the kidneys, sterile drops of urine. Just remember, the water inside the uterus is renewed every 24 hours, so everything is clean. There's nothing to be worried about if there's urine inside. Let me just tell you one little story, which I think is very important to know. This is a little 12-week-old child. And at this stage, children are already very sensitive to touch. What does that mean? It means that if I touch this little child's skin, it'll feel the touch. I could tickle it if I wanted to, or I could hurt it if I touch it too strongly. And there was a story, let me quickly tell you that, of an abortionist, a doctor who primarily performed abortions in the US, in the United States. His name was Dr. Bernard Nathanson. And then in the 1970s, the ultrasound came up, and he said, man, great, what I'll do is I'll film the abortion, I'll film the ultrasound, and I'll teach my students how to better perform abortions. So that's what he did. He had a little 12-week-old girl that he was performing an abortion on. And he could see later on, he finished the abortion, he went into the editing room. They said, come, we need your help for the editing. What do you want? What do you do? Oh, okay, I'll come. So he came inside, and what he saw the instrument coming inside the uterus. And as soon as the instrument touched the little girl's feet, she moved away. She felt the touch. She moved away. In fact, she moved away into the far corner of the uterus, wanting to get away from this cool, cold metal steel that was coming there. And as the instrument came, it was a suction aspiration abortion, which means they suck the baby's parts out into a tube. As this instrument started sucking her body away, she opened her mouth and she started to scream. When Dr. Bernard Nathanson saw this, he was terrified. He was so shocked. He ran out of the editing room. He never performed another abortion. This movie, you can see it online if you want to, if you Google The Silent Scream. So very important, children at a very young age feel pain. Let's move on into the next month. The 4th month is exciting for mummy. Finally, she can feel the baby. This is actually a little bit over 4 months. This is 20 weeks. So this baby is about 4.5 months. Baby is quite heavy now. And what is beautiful in this month, the 2 things that I primarily love about this month is, one, that baby receives sight. So the eyes, there's about 1 million, 10 lakh nerve cells that are growing from the eyes towards the brain. Whereas at the same time, there's the same number of cells, 10 lakh nerve cells growing from the brain towards the eyes. And then in this month, this magical moment happens when each nerve cell has to find exactly the right partner, 1 out of 1 million. It needs to find it, and when that happens, the baby has sight. The eyes are still closed, so as you can see on the picture here, the eyes are still closed, but behind the closed eyelids, baby is practicing, moving the eyes left, right, left, right, left, right, getting those eye muscles going and getting ready for outside of the womb. Another thing which I really like about this 4th month is that babies start playing games then. This has been seen quite a few times on ultrasound. Those of you who have siblings, young baby siblings, or have your babies of your own, you know that babies love to play, and that's what they do in the womb. They're little children and they just love to play. So there's not a lot of toys there, so what do? They find the umbilical cord and they start grabbing that and they start squeezing it. Now what's the problem if they do that? That's their only supply of oxygen. So it would be as if I would be squeezing my throat, and that's exactly what the baby's doing. It grabs the umbilical cord and it squeezes it. And then on the ultrasound, on the screen, you can see like the baby's heartbeat is going down. It's getting slower and slower with less and less oxygen coming. And then after this oxygen has sort of been, fully squeezed down, and the heart is on, baby's all floppy and down, it lets go. And then you'll see baby all jumping and, moving around and hyperactive. It's really, really sweet. And they play these games again and again and again, just because they're little children. By the way, for your information, 20 weeks is this little one old, and that's the age up till when abortion is legal in India at present. There is a petition in front of the Supreme Court wanting to extend it to 26 weeks, which would be this little age, this little baby. So that's a little bit on the legal side of that. Let's quickly go through the 5th and 6th month. Usually when we do a regular life seminar for schools or for colleges, because of time limit, we usually finish at the 4th month. But I'm just going to walk you through the 5th and the 6th month. 5th and 6th month is a time where the child starts reacting to the outside world. So if mummy is very happy, baby will be happy. If mummy is very depressed, baby can be very depressed. It starts reacting more to the outside world. It'll start to know its father's and mother's voice, because this is the age with 6 months where baby starts to hear. Now this is the time where we in Tamil Nadu, and maybe probably in other states of India as well, where they do this bangle function, and they'll put lots of glass bangles on the mother. And I think it's a great thing to do because baby will start hearing this. Another very interesting thing about the 6th month, the cerebral cortex of the brain, which is in charge of storing memories, is starting to function. What does that mean? It means that at this age, baby already is gathering memories, which means that you and I, we have memories from our time in the womb, from 6 months onwards, which I think is very fascinating. Another thing that happens in these 2 months is that baby starts having a routine, and usually the routine is that while mummy's awake and walking and everything is shaking nicely, baby is sleeping, and then when mummy wants to rest in the nighttime, baby becomes all active. At this stage of a baby's life, the skin color is all the same. So if we see on this picture here, this baby could be an African baby, it could be an Indian baby, it could be a Caucasian baby, it could be any baby, and only really after birth and in these last months of pregnancy and after birth does the skin really darken to what the skin color is actually going to turn out to be. At this time also, all the brain cells, all the billions of brain cells that we'll ever have are already there, so you're not going to get any more intelligent than you are at this stage. Let's grab 7th, 8th and 9th month together. This is a 30-week-old baby. So this would be about 8-month baby. And I read recently, and I just love this, read recently a story about a baby. They were doing an ultrasound on the baby, and outside they were playing some music. And inside, do you know what the baby was doing? It was doing this. It was dancing along with the music outside, right on beat. So baby can hear, baby is, just interacting with its outside world, and it's really sweet to see that. The sense of smell is fully developed for this baby at this age. The lungs are maturing, and that's really what we want to see matured before delivery. When we have a premature baby, That's often what really is difficult for the child, that the lungs are not matured yet, and that can bring great problems. But this is happening in the last months. Fat cells are also producing, not just to make the baby nice and chubby when it comes out, but also it needs fat cells around vital organs like the kidney or the heart, just to protect these organs as well. And another thing, at this stage already the mother is producing what is called colostrum, which is the first milk. It's amazing stuff, this colostrum. It's full of antibodies. It's like the baby's first injection, very healthy, and it's very, very important that the mother would give milk to the child within the first hour after delivery. So this was just a very, very short version of 9 months of miracles after miracles happening inside the womb. And what I really just need you to understand is that it really doesn't matter whether the baby is, a couple of cells old, or the rice cone sized baby with a little heart the size of a poppy seed pumping, or whether his baby is 2 months old, the size of a cashew nut, or 4 months old and playing games, or whether the baby is born and in your arms. We are always, always talking about a very precious human being, a little child.